And Shalom Aleichem. This is Theological Discussion, and today, Free Topic Day. What we're doing is we're just going to discuss things freely. Right now we have Easaloo, the quiet and shy one. We have Jimmy Stevens, the smirky and very intellectual smart aleck. But hey, good thing he's on the Christian side. And then we have a new person, Baldy the Limey. And guess what? He's English, so that makes it even better.
You? I was doing this before you were even born.
See what I mean? So anyways, what do y'all want to talk about?
I heard that there's a new album coming out from that person who's popular.
Oh, I like that album, and I like that guy. Who's popular? Which one?
Oh, you know, the one that is encouraging people to give taxes to the government at increased rates because the government is amazing. Number one hit single.
Yeah, it does sound like it's a good single. Alright. Well, I just came across an interesting article, or not article, why did I say that? Passage in the Bible. It's Mark chapter 14, verse 51 and 52. Anyone familiar with that one?
I'm just going to go and quickly skim over it. Which verses?
Mark chapter 14, verse 51 and 52.
And the young man followed him, with nothing but a linen cloth about his body, and they seized him. But he left the linen cloth and ran away naked.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. What about this do you find interesting?
I find it interesting because it's right after the apostles left. Jesus, after Jesus was arrested, said they forsook him. And then it mentions this man that started to follow Jesus and the Roman guards. And all of a sudden, this man was about to be captured, but then the man took off his linen cloth and just then ran away, started streaking in the nude.
Huh.
So it's interesting, and the fact is that no one knows who that is. Based on at least what the scholar said, no one knows exactly who this man that's streaking is.
Well, just not by knowing anything about the passage in particular, but by going from modern day late night cop shows, you often see people get in trouble for following the police taking someone in or detaining someone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it was just an onlooker that was coming to have a look what was going on, and then they mistook him for one of Jesus's comrades. Or maybe he was one of Jesus's comrades.
But that's the thing. Based on what I've seen, it says like he was a 13th disciple, if that were to be the case.
I think if he was in that close of a circle, we'd have probably heard of him.
Jimmy,
besides, Jesus had loads of disciples.
That's true. Jimmy, what's your take on this?
I'm rather confused about the text. There is a commentary I have in front of me that says the following. Mark is the only evangelist who mentions this incident, and there seems good reason for supposing that he here describes what happened to himself. Such is the mode in which John refers to himself in his gospel, and where there can be no doubt that he is speaking of himself. If the conclusion in an earlier part of this commentary be correct, that it was at the house to which John Mark belonged that our Lord celebrated the Passover, and from whence he went out to the Mount of Olives, what more probable than that Mark had been with him on that occasion, and had perhaps a presentiment that something was about to happen to him. but more likely than that the crowd who took Jesus may have passed by this house, and that Mark may have been roused from his bed by the tumult, having a linen cloth cast about his naked body. So that's one explanation, albeit written in very obsolete language. Here's the link. I'll post it on the side.
Alright.
I'm just looking at a commentary I have here, so I'll be with you in a minute.
Alright. Easily, what's your opinion on this?
No comment.
No comment.
Aw, kawaii.
I don't know. Easily, is there any topic that you might want to discuss? I mean, we can discuss anything Christian or clearly, even if it's questions.
Whatever you guys want. I'm just here for the ride.
She's here for the ride. Alright. Well, while Baldy is looking at his commentary thing, or possibly with Stevens.
Oh, I've got something for you.
Alright.
So I don't mean to interrupt if you want to continue.
No, it's okay. What you got?
Well, this commentary on Mark I have here says the complete collapse of Jesus' following is seen in the flight of the naked young man. Lane suggests that what we may have seen here is an allusion to the picture portrayed in Amos 2:16, where an oracle against Israel, the prophet foresees that in an oracle against Israel, again very archaic languages, so a prophecy, the prophet foresees that even the stout of heart among the mighty will flee away naked in the day of judgment. Lane is probably correct, for this idea coheres with the earlier appeal to Zechariah 13:7, where the shepherd is struck down and the sheep are scattered. In rejecting its Messiah, Israel has brought upon itself the judgments described in the prophets. The scriptures are being fulfilled. I think this actually brings up a very interesting thing about the ancient world, in that the identity of certain people didn't really matter to them. It was what they did. Especially in First Temple Judaism, where what people were looking out for was reenactments of the Old Testament, such as we see here.
Well, one of the things I read was that they think that that this man, the young man, is a metaphor for the disciples, that they forsake Jesus, so therefore they're naked without Christ. At least that's one of the scholars.
I think that's what this one is getting at as well. I think I would agree with you.
What do you think, Jimmy?
I don't know. They're all very decent explanations. I'd have to see further argumentation about it to come to a clear decision on the matter. It sounds like the reference to Amos is pretty... that sounds like the kind of thing that Mark would do. So, I'm not sure.
And welcome, I'm Rick. Woo! Okay, he probably can only type, apparently. Oh, he had a mic. Oh. Anyways, how about this for a topic? Interesting children's story in 2 Kings. Would you tell your children about the two she-bears that mauled the 46 or 42 children?
Now, let's be careful with that one. Because the Hebrew words there actually are more like young men, bandits in the prime of their life, warriors, so to speak, not children, as it's often translated.
Well, how about the infants that were to be bashed against the stone? I think that's in that Joshua or Numbers? I can't remember.
Well, if they were eating shellfish, they deserved it. No, if you can find me the verse in that, I'll look it up. But the reason I say careful with the story in Kings about the two she bears is because a YouTuber by the name of Tecton TV or JP Holding did a very long series on it, debunking all the myths and criticisms surrounding it. I'd recommend you go watch his stuff. Actually, he does these little cartoon things. It's actually very, very interesting. The guy's a nice guy as well, as long as you don't piss him off.
Yeah, J.P. Holding is very he's a good Christian apologist, and he's like in his 30s or 40s, and originally
I
was
think
just
he's good. I own one or two of his books. I don't agree with everything he says, but usually I find him to be quite agreeable. Although I know that most fundy atheists, as he would call them, find him to be the most egregious of Christians.
Unless you're William Lane Craig.
Yeah.
I have not been following William Lane Craig.
Have you listened to any of his lectures or?
Oh yeah, but no recent ones.
No reasonable ones.
Recent ones, as in not in the past 2 years.
I mean, that's one thing I want to talk about.
Who is William Lane Craig?
William Lane Craig is someone who's regarded as today's biggest defender of the Christian faith. And he's a philosopher and a Christian apologist. And he debated people like Christopher Hitchens. And even it was to the point where Hitchens said that he admitted that Craig was a good opponent, that he was worthy of the challenge, if you will.
Well, that's not if you ask Richard Dawkins.
Yeah, well, Richard Dawkins is a biologist who admits to being a layman on theology, so, you know.
So, is William Lane Craig still using his clown cosmological argument every chance he gets?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much his best seller, the Kalam cosmological argument, because, I mean, that's all I ever hear from him is using that.
Yeah, I can't help but
Don't
point
you
out
find
the
all the
irony.
technical terms don't make too much sense?
Wait, what was that?
Don't you find all the technical stuff doesn't make that much sense?
Like, define technical stuff, you're talking about, like, the stuff average people can't understand?
Yeah, like what's cosmological even mean?
Well,
It usually pertains to what it means is the creation exists, therefore God exists. Cosmological being the cosmos exists. In the simplest terms I can get it down to.
Yeah, so the Kalam cosmological argument goes into 3 points or premises. Premise 1, everything that begins to exist has a cause. Second premise is the universe began to exist. Then following the final premise, therefore, since the universe began to exist, it has a cause. And the Christians use that.
God.
Yeah, and the cause being God.
It's a Muslim argument, which is why it's called Kalam.
It was originally developed by a Muslim philosopher. I think I can't help but point out the irony, Christian Anarchist, of you saying that that seems to be his best seller, as in Craig fronts it like a car salesman. That's rather funny.
Well, it's all I ever hear from him, unless there's something else. Then, I mean, I don't know. That's all I hear is the universe began to exist, therefore it has a cause.
I mean, he has other arguments. I think that they're all... I mean, I don't agree with any of them, but, for example, he has the argument from the usefulness of mathematics, right? The mathematics are a useful fiction in his view, and unlike a non-theistic point of view, the theistic point of view can explain the usefulness of mathematics pretty easily.
Uh,
I mean, don't take me to be defending them. I love Craig, but I think his arguments are, don't mind the pun, god awful. But
alright, this I guess would go to easily because she's a Christian that's, I guess, I don't know, she's sort of looking for the spirituality, if you will, finding the truth and purpose in life. So, and the thing that confuses her is that she's noticed in these conversations we tend to get all philosophical and get in these technical terms. Do you think that we need to do something to explain that easier, or what are y'all's advice for it?
Let's not be mistaken here. The reason technical terms exist is to make things easier. It's much easier to have a technical term explained once and then you remember the technical term than it is to go through several paragraphs to explain what it is you mean. If I was to say, let's just talk about the debate of the Trinity, I think, or Jimmy, you might have to help me out here. The two words that were mainly used were homoousios and homoousios, right?
that sounds familiar.
Well, these two technical terms, whilst they sound big and scary and confusing, actually stand in place of entire books and libraries written about them. One meaning that Jesus is divine, and one meaning that Jesus is not divine, or of the same substance of the Father, etc., etc. So it's much easier to go and read up on these technical terms, and then you'll be able to use them properly, rather than have to go through every baby step every time you want to talk about them.
Does that sort of answer anything easily what they're going over?
But real quick, so here's the thing about technical terms, right? Here's the thing about jargon, terminology, or words that are specific to some kind of subject, right? They're incredibly useful to people who know what they mean, but they're absolutely useless in a conversation where you're trying to communicate with someone who isn't privy to the words being used. So, while I agree with you, Jack, I think that I would use what you just said to infer that, best stay away from words that would seem technical to easily. So, for example, if we're talking about the Kalam cosmological argument, better just to say it's the argument to God from the beginning of the existence of the universe.
I understand that. Although I will say in my defense, this is the first time I've actually encountered Isaru. And when talking to people who haven't read around as much as I have, not that I've read around all that much, I wouldn't use terminology that was very specific. Obviously, I'd be talking more about the love of God. I'd be talking more about the purpose of Christianity, why we're on this earth, the reason for suffering and the reason for reward, etc. And I think Christian Anarchist has had to BRB for a moment, which means we're going to get some dead air.
I'll write a quick refutation of that argument on the side here.
What, a refutation of the Kalam cosmological argument?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would. Besides, when talking about the existence of God, which is not something I like to do with atheists because it's not something I think can be argued efficiently. It can be argued, but not efficiently, simply because they don't want to know. I prefer to come from a more historical standpoint and go back to the resurrection. Welcome back.
Yes, it's good to be back. It's good to be back here, and good old USAA. How you doing?
I can't tell where you're supposed to be from.
I can't tell either. That's just uniquely ridiculous. So, well, I've missed out on some of the conversation, but I brought it up because easily, of course, wants to join, be involved in this type of stuff, but she feels bad that she can't understand some of the technical stuff that we get
Well,
into.
my advice would be as stupid as possible.
Yes,
And
that's your
what
advice.
what I mean by that is jump in head first. That's what I did. I think that's how everyone gets into this. They make stupid mistakes, and that's the best way to learn.
So
I
you
mean,
learn
most of
from
the
mistakes.
videos I have up on my YouTube channel are things that I've screened. A lot of my earlier videos I've just taken off because they are embarrassingly bad.
Hmm. Now, does that sound like good enough advice, Izzy?
For someone like me, it'll be a little tricky, but I'll try.
Alright, there you go. Alright,
Well, at the end of the day, it's not gonna hurt.
yeah,
I sure hope not.
I think that's how I actually came across learning all this stuff. Like, I guess it was like, hey, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But then I found out that, trying to talk and convince an atheist isn't exactly as easy as it seems these days.
Yeah, that's how I think the Bible puts it: fools for Christ. Reckless abandon, just charge in there, do what you can. Sure, you'll make yourself look dumb, but eventually, you'll be able to formulate your thoughts. And even then, you'll still be ripping your hair out in private, going, "What the hell do I believe?" Trust me. It's
Well, I seem to be best at looking dumb already, so.
not a bad thing. We have to remember that what we look like on the outside is not always what we are on the inside. Appearances are very deceptive.
I just thought of something for, I don't know, this might be me quickly changing the topics, but this is actually what I was originally going to consider making the topic be for this hangout. New Christians. You've heard of the New Atheist movement, New Atheism.
Oh yeah.
What about a New Christianity movement?
So like a neo-Christianity?
Something like that. It's just
so
more.
You mean American Christianity? Oh, I'm sorry. that was
You ain't far from it.
I mean American fundamentalism is probably what I mean.
Not exactly fundamentalism. I mean, like, not because there's a problem. There's a guy, I forget what his name is. He was an English Christian apologist, and he spoke out against fundamentalism. But I think it needs to be vocal, more evangelizing and more vocal on the ideas of philosophy, logic, and especially science itself within the realms of Christianity. For example, atheism was just disbelief in God. But then Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens came and became like the preachers of it, that not only said, don't be this, but also that atheism itself is, religion itself is harmful to society and can do no good, even though...
They weren't the first people to say that, but yeah, I get what you mean.
Right, but that's when it started getting, very big. And, wait, okay, Amy posted in the comments presuppositional or evidential. When were we talking about that?
Oh, I'm trolling Jimmy.
Troll Jimster.
I don't know what the relevance this has because I'm not a part of the inside joke, but hey Jimmy, the bomb.
Curse you.
The joke is that they're in two schools and they fight each other all the time, and he asks cats or dogs. So I was anyway, because I think you can use both presuppositional and evidential arguments in a scriptural fashion. So anyway.
Well, I've been told that Rafe Anderson is going through a hard time right now, so if to anyone who watches or if anyone's in the room, please pray for him. Wish him our support because we love Rafe. He's a good pal. He's a good buddy.
He's a brother.
Yeah, he's a brother. Brother from our Heavenly Father.
I was going to say, if anyone had said from another mother, I would have slapped them. I would have swam the Atlantic Ocean. Of course,
Yeah.
that's after swimming the Irish Ocean and trekking across Ireland to get into the Atlantic Ocean. But that's not the point.
Yeah. And for some reason, Rafe blocked me. I'm no longer following him, and it says I'm restricted too. So I don't know why.
He did the same to me. I think you should just let him work it out.
Yeah. Because he needed my help with PowerPoint. So I was concerned.
That's right. He's a filthy Macintosh user.
Well, perhaps if there's various drama going on, you shouldn't talk about it on air and drag dirty linen out into the public.
Well,
That's very true.
Yeah.
Our concern for him has been stated. That's enough.
I mean, that's all I wanted, just to, get the prayers out.
But getting back to your earlier point, CA, new Christians, or neo-Christianism, I suppose, would be a way of referring to it. Have you ever heard of the term cage Calvinist?
Cage Calvinist? No, I have not.
Yes. Wow.
The cage stage of Calvinism is something that most Calvinists go through. I went through it at one point. I'm pretty sure everyone else has ever been had any sort of love for Calvin has been through it. Is where you become an absolutely rabid Calvinist, and the 5 points make up the entirety of your theology. The entirety of your Bible reading is all 5 points, and you go rabid, and it's like an atheist just banging on the same door over and over again. I'm pretty sure you had at least, even if it was only a day or two, Amy, everyone goes through the cage stage.
No, actually, because when I first became, I was always sort of semi-Calvinist, right? I always sort of believed the 5 points. It just wasn't a big deal, and I never really argued with them because it never really came up. And then when I sort of had this introduction to Calvinism as Calvinism, I was around a bunch of cage stages, and I was like, you guys are a bunch of jerks. Why are you doing this?
Just so you know, Amy, the term is technically qua. We say Calvinism qua Calvinism, not Calvinism as Calvinism.
Yeah,
just correcting you as the cage Calvinist in the room.
Jimmy.
Yeah, what's up, bro?
The bomb.
The bomb.
I hate you.
What is this?
I don't even know why that's a thing.
What's the bomb?
I don't know. I just know that it gets on Jimmy's nerves, therefore it's a good thing.
Alright then.
No,
Hey,
if
Jimmy.
you say something is the bomb, it means it's awesome.
Hey Jimmy.
Yeah, bro.
The bomb! Okay, I just didn't do it well enough, apparently.
No, he put a full stop in the side chat and then an emoticon.
Well, that's something.
Now, is the existence of the bomb able to be proved both presuppositionally and evidentially?
Well, we can evidentially prove the bomb. Well, if it's still there. Or even if it's exploded, because we know something happened there.
Yeah, what kind of bomb was it? Dynamite, nuclear, microwave?
Depends on what it left behind.
Interesting science fact. I can't remember. I think it's francium. I'm pretty sure it's francium. But if you mix francium, I might be wrong, and liver together, they explode quite violently. Like, can rip through concrete violently.
Okay, so where do I get francium?
Exactly what I asked my teacher.
Because I hate liver.
But no, I might be wrong. I just know that there is a certain element or chemical you can mix with the enzymes that liver creates, I think, and it goes boom. I think one little bit of liver that you can cut off from the corner and drop in will just go boom. Random science fact.
Random science.
Now you're thinking with liver.
Yes, I am. There's the new Christian thing. I don't know, right? I see myself as a Christian version of Christopher Hitchens, honestly.
That's a pretty. You place yourself on a rather high pedestal there, considering Hitchens' reputation. I never really.
I do it because I tend to get on both some theists and atheists' nerves. Like, I forget who the atheist was, but he thought it was irrational. It's just flat out ridiculous. But then, of course, you got some Christians that don't like me, and the main reason why is probably just because I'm too bold. I tend to be sarcastic at times, too.
Well, that's just an English thing, and Christopher Hitchens was definitely an Englishman. I really enjoy reading Christopher Hitchens' brother's work. I follow him on Twitter. Yeah, Peter Hitchens. I find him quite insightful on a number of things.
Yeah, I saw there was a thing. It was something Oxford did that had Dan Barker and John Lennox, and was the idea of God existence. Did God exist or not?
Now, John Lennox is an absolute beast. He is. From what I remember, he was exceptionally polite to his opponents, and yet completely dragged them through the mud. I don't know how he did it.
I'm surprised that Richard Dawkins managed to deal with him for 3 debates.
I think he was signed up to a contract of some sort. No, Jimmy, you can be Jimmy. Because explosives.
I don't know, I mean, Jimmy, he could be like a Daniel Dennett or Sam Harris or something. You just need a beard. I mean, you already got a mustache, so that works.
Jimmy has a mustache?
Oh, he has this mustache that if he turns the camera on and if he finds his mustache, maybe you can see.
Is it a bum fluff mustache?
I don't know, what's a bum cloth mustache?
I think that's an English thing. It means it's a very puberty-esque mustache.
Well, I don't know. All I know is
we're just going to talk about your facial hair, Jimmy.
Yeah. You know,
this is supposed to be a theology topical chat, but...
That's the rest of what we're talking about.
Well, I must ask you a question, but I'll save it for later.
Oh, man, you're crazy people. Okay, he doesn't have a jack mustache, but... Okay, let's move on. Amy, do you want to start us on a topic? Because we've been just dragging ourselves around through the mud, like John Lennox does to atheists.
Sure, let's see. What's a good topic? How about Calvinism?
Oh boy.
Okay,
I can't. Please not Calvinism.
Please no, please, I regret it.
I almost choked from trying to jump on that topic so fast.
Alright, we have
Hey, hello, Deidre.
What the heck is that? It's I don't know, what's
a Friends episode clip, no?
Oh.
It's Elijah Dushku from Buffy.
It is terrifying.
Okay, so same time period.
It's terrifying. Okay, let me change it to something less terrifying.
It's only because if it was staying small in the corner, it would be fine. But every time you speak, it pops up.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
Well, let's see. I think we could have a good topic. Let's see. How about...
Amy, we can barely... You're having some... I don't know. Here, let me try to turn you up. Something's not being
sorry, I'm not talking that loud. I'm kind of far away from my computer. What about what a Christian's response should be to violence? Pacifism or self-defense? Is there a just war?
Alright, I'm gonna ask every individual one of you that question, but first, before I do so, existence, welcome.
I'm just gonna sit back and play perpetual debunker with all of your views.
Okay, here we go.
Come at me, bro.
Alright, existence, philosopher, what's up? Can you talk? Existence, Earth to XP. Okay.
I just had to fix a computer that is still running Windows XP to this day. It was not fun. Hello, Charles.
Hey, Charles. Hello.
Hello.
We can see you. How you doing, buddy?
Do you want to go through the line asking people that question?
Yeah. To remind the people that just joined in, the topic was asked by Amy. What should a Christian's response be to violence? And Amy, if you can, type that into the side chat so some people can get a look at that. What's a Christian's response to violence? What should it be? So I'll start with the person that asked. Amy, what's your take on that?
I'm typing it in the chat. Ask somebody else. I'll answer it later.
Okay, and welcome to Peripheral Prophet. Just read the side chat peripheral because Amy's typing the question thing in. But Baldy, what's your response?
I am quite a fan of Augustine's just war theory. Right, this is where I have to get my views in before Jimmy comes back, so we can't rip them to shreds.
Mhm.
Oh crap, he's back. I'm quite a fan of Augustine's just war theory. However, I also think that the best way to avoid violence is to deter it, and that is usually done by having the bigger gun in the hands of the better people. Same way that nuclear war has been avoided, and the Cold War didn't become a hot war. People were afraid of killing each other. So I think if everyone is armed to the flipping teeth, everyone else is also going to be very much thinking twice before they jump into a war. It's the same principle I use when I play grand strategy games that Paradox makes, things like Europa Universalis 4. If people have a similar size force to you, then it's usually a very bad idea to go into battle against them, because it's going to be on the flip of a coin. As a side, for more personal levels of violence, I think turn the other cheek is something usually meant for flippant acts of violence against your person. It's also used to show Jesus' attitude to disagreements, in that you should be calm and civil and be ready to compromise. But if something that is required to be defended comes up, then you have full permission to use whatever means necessary, be it violence or diplomacy, to wage a war against that evil, such as Jesus taking a whip of cords and driving people out of the temple because they were using it for a wrong thing. If my mother was to be raped and I could stop it with violence, then I would kill the man that was trying to rape her. That sort of thing. There are circumstances, due to us living in an imperfect world, where Jesus would allow us, I think, to defend that which is right, defend the helpless, etc. And that would be my view.
Alright. Dang it, I was just about to ask Charles. Okay, Charles is back. Anyway.
Charles is gone.
What the heck? I think it's connection problems. Uh-oh. There goes...
Hey, Amy, do you know the meaning behind that?
Yeah.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled of elderberries.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've only heard the quote from my Python.
Your mother was a hamster is calling your mother a rodent because rodents tend to breed very quickly and quite often, so it's calling her a whore. And your father smelled of elderberries is calling him a drunk because alcohol at that time was made from elderberries.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. That's a little bit more than I would have expected from Monty Python.
Monty Python's actually quite deep.
Alright, let's try to get... We can talk about Monty Python like crazy, like my friends quote that all the time. But Charles, what's your opinion on the topic of, what's it called? A Christian response to violence, self-defense being justified, or pacifism?
I believe that self-defense is justified when self-defense is justified. In other words, there are, you know, if you're fighting for your government, and that's your responsibility. Also, if you're protecting your family and all that, but at the same time, you should go out of your way to try to avoid using excessive force or anything like that, because if you do take matters into your own hands in that way, then you must be willing to deal with the consequences, whether that may be that you may end up getting shot because they shot you or tried to kill you, or prison time, or whatever it may be. You know, it's a very serious thing to take a life. So even though I believe that force or defense or self-defense is okay whenever it's actually self-defense, a person is accountable for all of their actions.
All right, thank you for your take, Charles. Deidre, do you want to offer anything?
I think sometimes we're forced into a self-defense kind of situation, especially if like children are involved, or maybe a whole society. But also, I mean, I sometimes think of our willingness to kill or defend, and sometimes I think of the story of Jim Elliot, who's a missionary, and he went out to be a missionary in Ecuador, and he went to a far-off tribe in Ecuador that hadn't had a lot of exposure to the world. And this tribe was known to be extremely violent, and people were trying to urge him to carry a gun, and these missionaries should carry a gun, and they opted not to carry a gun. And I think the reason why they did was because pretty much, you know, how are you going to share the word of God with weapons? You know, it's whatever happens, happens. Unfortunately, Jim Elliot paid the price with his life. They speared him to death. They speared all the guys to death. And then I don't know if you know this, but Elizabeth Elliot and the wives of the martyred men reached out to the tribe, and they actually were not speared, and they ended up intermingling with the tribe and ended up converting a lot of the tribe. And I think that's kind of fascinating that sometimes if you take a passive stance, that you never know, you might be planting a seed by not fighting back. Unfortunately, nobody really wants to seek out martyrdom, but that thought always kind of comes to mind. Do we take a punch? Do we martyr ourselves? In the end, can God work it out for good?
Alright, interesting. Izalu, do you want anything to... What's your answer? Do you think we are justified in self-defense, or do you think we as Christians should be more pacifist in our approach? Izzy?
I think she might be AFK.
Aye. 'Tis the Izalu, always AFK at times. Alright.
Well, she said be right back in the chat.
Wait, what? Okay, I'm retarded.
I'd just like to point out you said is always AFK at times.
Okay, you know what? Forget you! I know I mess up, but hey, I'm only human.
I'm British, I point this sort of stuff out.
Yes, I know that. But,
They speak proper English.
yeah, they speak the proper English. That
You see, what's hilarious about Deirdre saying that is she broke up on my end a little bit. So it's like she was saying, they speak proper English.
Mm-mm. Yeah, we Americans murder the English language, apparently, to you British.
Actually, you do get one thing right that we changed.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Aluminium.
Aluminium?
Oh,
As
what
in
about
aluminum.
Hey, Jack? What about hurricane?
How so?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us how you say hurricane.
Hurricane?
No way. Do you really say hurricane?
Yes?
You were supposed to say hurricane.
Oh.
Well, I'm not from the north, sir.
How about airplane?
Airplane.
Yes, aeroplane. Arrow. It's an arrow, don't you see?
You know what, Jimmy, you feel like talking, it's your turn. What's your take on the idea of a person's response to violence. You're the one with the big mouth. It's your turn.
And while he's talking, I'll get the cudgels.
Oh, that's going to make it very difficult to talk, Jack. Not that I mind. Okay. Wow, I hope that having a big mouth isn't standard here because I'd be talking all night. I am rather torn about the issue. The issue is difficult. Here's a good problem for those of you that think military offense is just. Who is that? Oh, okay. Military offense is just. That distracted me very much. Oh, crap. I'm totally off kilter now.
Bomb.
I'm a terrible person. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's not, I tend to have that effect. Not everyone can ignore my form, No, I'm just kidding. I don't remember what I was saying, though. Oh, I was going to say that for those of you that think war is just, what would be the standard to indicate that war is the correct response? For example, I personally do not think the American Revolution was a morally justifiable response to England's injustice, right? They were doing things that they weren't supposed to do, even though they promised the United States certain treatment. And the people over in what is now currently the United States reacted by massacring a bunch of people. I don't think that that was justified. However, where could you ever be in a situation where you would know that it's the right thing to pick up your rifle and start shooting people?
Alright. And that is Jimmy with his response. I don't know if Easily is back, but if she is, just, get back on the mic and say yada yada yada. Okay. Anyways. So.
I think that was one of those situations where picking up your rifle and starting shooting would be acceptable.
Wait, what
I
situation?
second the motion.
Wait, you think the American Revolution was justified?
No,
Are you talking about the singing?
I'm talking about the singing.
Okay, but you're talking about shooting yourself, though. That's a little different.
It wasn't me that was singing.
Oh, I thought you
wait,
were saying
you would think I was threatening suicide. No, I was threatening to shoot him in the kneecaps.
Aim a little higher and it'll sound pretty.
Yeah, it will.
What, you mean pop?
Okay, you know what?
I have a question, kind of connected, since we're waiting for someone to come back.
Oh, wait.
It's still connected, but you know how we're talking about. Part of the question was how is there ever a just war? I had a Catholic gentleman argue to me that the Crusades were, in fact, a holy war and were justified. Do you think God sanctions war still?
I'd like to jump in there, actually, because I was listening to a priest talking about this, a Catholic priest talking about this. There are some very holy, righteous people in the Catholic tradition back in the time of the Crusades that preached the Crusades and said, if you go on Crusades, your sins will be forgiven, etc. You have to remember, though, the Crusades themselves weren't doctrinal. They weren't dogma, they weren't teaching, they weren't anything. They were a product of a sort of like World War II, if you like, where they went in to prevent invasions in one part and to stop the slaughter of terrorists in another. Stop terrorists slaughtering pilgrims in another. Whether that's good enough reason to go to war is another topic, but the Roman Catholic Church, as an institution that sees itself as an institution today, will look back on that with regret. I don't think it would still support the Crusades.
okay, existence. He's finally got his microphone. What is your take on the topic of Christian response to violence? Should we uh, respond with self-defense, or should we be pacifists? What's your take?
Depends on the situation.
Okay. What do you mean by dependent? Give yourself a situation. Or just go back to being muted, I guess. Alright. Next topic. Okay, anyone want to start something? Charles?
Yeah.
I was busy. I can give my idea as well.
Oh yeah, Amy, give your point of view, because we never did hear yours. And
Well,
then
yeah, I think I agree that it depends on the situation, but I think so. There's a place where Jesus, right before he went to the garden, he told people to go buy a sword. That's why Peter was carrying around the sword and cut off the servant's ear in the garden, right?
Mhm.
So there's sort of this mandate to have these weapons to protect yourself. And I think you see that quite often, that there's sort of this call, defend the innocent people. Um, keep your family and your community safe. But I think the only time when one is to go out to war is when God specifically commands his nation, namely physical Israel, to do so. And I think the modern states that we have today don't have that mandate from God to go out and commit war. In fact, I think the modern nation states of today are illegitimate, right? Because I'm an anarchist, obviously. And I think this idea of actions of violence, this idea of war is wrong. Actions of violence can only be committed by individuals.
I think my end cut out.
Yeah, I mean, because you said something and then you were just very silent. Unless you want to, I don't know. I'm gonna try to just move on, because really would like Charles to. I want us to cover as much topics as possible, and let Charles bring in his um, topic that he wants to bring on. Charles,
I'm actually going to stay on the same topic. When you talk about the Crusades, we have to understand the hermeneutic, the interpretation principles that they use. Augustine took a lot of Platonic philosophy. Whenever he wrote City of God, he took and believed that the kingdom had been spiritualized. But historically, premillennialism was being taught in the church, that Christ would come after a literal 1,000 years. The problem is that after it had been 1,000 years, people started getting antsy and said, well, it must have been a spiritual kingdom. Jimmy, you brought up about dispensationalism being a justification for the crusade. And when you talk about the land, I understand what you mean by that. You're saying that they made a claim to the land, the church made a claim to the land, which means that the church would want to fight for the land. The only problem about that is that in the Bible there's a clear concise distinction between Israel, the Gentiles, and the church. Replacement theology, or blurring that distinction, would result in the abuses of the Crusades. When one understands that the Mosaic covenant was given to a particular people, and that God was ruling in a theocracy for a particular time and a purpose, and he was dealing with all things civil, and then you see that Israel has been temporarily set aside, and now God is reigning through the church, you see that the function of the church is not the same way as a theocracy. And based on that, a country cannot go to war based on, okay, we're all Christian, let's go to war. No, a Christian can serve in the military of a nation. And if he's in fellowship with God, and he's in the will of God whenever he does it, if he kills somebody or defends his country, it's considered a reward. Because the same principle applies to anything. No matter what activity we do, if we're in fellowship with God, whenever we do it, it's considered as a reward. God honors that, whether you're witnessing to someone at work or whatever. It's the same way with people that are to call and have been called to fight and defend their country. John the Baptist, whenever he was speaking to Roman soldiers, he didn't tell them get out of the army. He told them don't take bribes, be just, you know, and things like that. He didn't speak on the issue of pacifism and that. And I know the issue of turn the other cheek is a big one, and I believe I could bring some insight into that, but I don't want to speak too much longer on this. And if y'all want to talk about turn the other cheek, then we can. But I just want to make that distinction that premillennialism, yeah, it believes that Israel is entitled to the land, but at the same time, it recognizes a distinction between Israel and the church. So therefore, the claim of the Catholic Church could not give them the claim of the land because they are not Israel.
Right.
Their cheek situation.
Existence. If you could turn down.
No. Like, here, let me explain this because I've talked with him. Existence is a very cautious person. He used to be like me. He doesn't trust the internet that much. Like, he worries that people will, hack him, and he doesn't want to involve much of his real life, and he's taken it far enough he's using a voice changer so that's why his voice is like that.
Okay, that's fine, but the problem is that his speech is almost
Deafening.
yeah. It's pretty intense. So if you could turn that down, existence, you're welcome to keep it just as robotic sounding, but if you could turn it down. In response to Charles, first of all, I don't agree that there's any distinction between Israel and the church. As dispensationalism understands it in the scripture, there is a difference between the true Israel and Israel the people, but the true Israel is the church. Those are the same thing. In talking about my point concerning the Catholic Church's using dispensationalism as an excuse, even though that didn't really exist back then, my joke there was meant to say that because dispensationalists believe that Israel, the people, have a special place in God's plan, which they don't. That's nowhere found in Scripture. Even though they believe that itself would be a good reason to think, okay, we should fight these wars in order to give the land which belongs to Israel over to Israel, right? Like modern day Zionists, right? Yeah, Zionism, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That would be a good excuse for that sort of view. That's what my joke was referring to. I wasn't actually trying to argue that the Catholics used dispensationalism to justify the Crusades.
All right, anyone else want to talk to that? Going once, going twice, and Charles, your response.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, premillennialism in the form of Kabbalism was in existence at that time. Of course, none of these doctrines were formulated and systematized. I see your point about Zionism and all that, but see that's another problem, is that there's a distinction between political Israel and the fulfillments, if dispensationalism is true, the fulfillments of the prophecies. God could start over with the Jews that are scattered outside of the nation. He just has to preserve a remnant, and these Jews that become saved when Christ returns or shortly before, they will be used to repopulate the earth. But the problem is that whenever we start thinking that dispensationalism is connected, and I know there are some sensational dispensationalists that that think that we should support every single thing that Israel does in a political sphere. But at the same time, we just need to, I mean, I feel that the distinction is having to do with God and not necessarily the political thing, because the truth is, you know, there's a lot of movements where people want to bring all the Jews back to the land. If it's true that this is happening according to prophecy, then those Jews that are going back to that land, if they don't get saved, they're going to fall underneath the Antichrist's teachings. They're going to end up being scattered once again, and it isn't until Christ comes back that they're going to be gathered back. So there's this danger of this political drive within Christianity and certain extremes to try to fulfill prophecy, and in a way, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. They want to bring about this Israeli nationalism, and it's just setting up things for them to be scattered once again.
I would like to I should ask a question a sec. These prophecies you have of the Jews returning to Israel in the modern day, I assume you're getting these from the Book of Revelation, right?
Yeah, that's what the millennium concerns, right? It's a revelational concept.
The only problem with that is Revelation has been... Oh, hello, Mr. Spider, crawling across my bed. Go away. The only problem with that is Revelation has historically not been viewed in that way. Revelation was usually viewed in a sort of allegory type way for the story of the church. Yes, it sort of predicts an ending, but these very specific instances of the fall of Babylon, etc., etc., are numerological and symbolic of different parts within the story of Jesus coming to the world and saving it and his church. Which is why I think that it would blow your belief in a prophecy out of the water slightly. Not that I'm saying you are entirely wrong, just that I would take another view of the book, what I would think would be a more historical view.
Well, I would not base my argument on Revelations, even though Revelations uses the word kilos 6 times, I believe, in Revelations. That's not my argument. My argument is that in Genesis chapter 12, with the Abrahamic covenant, God promised 3 things: land, seed, and blessing. And he said it was an eternal covenant. In Deuteronomy chapter 30, he talked about how many times they would be scattered, and he promised them that he would bring them back. In 2 Samuel chapter 7 talks about the Davidic covenant, the promise that Christ is going to reign on the throne of David, not on the throne of his father, not referring to the priest of Melchizedek, that's a separate ministry, but the throne of David. And that in Jeremiah 31, it's talking about the new covenant. He says, this is my covenant that I make with the house of Israel and Judah. And so based on these Old Testament covenants and statements that Jesus said, in other words, the whole biblical theology of the Bible, I see that. As for Revelations, talking about the genre or the historical way or the typical way that it's been interpreted, one thing we have to recognize that it's a fallacy to assume that just because something is historical doesn't necessarily make it true, because there's been false teaching from the very beginning. In fact, the Bible addresses false teaching in the very beginning. The other danger is the charge of recency, the idea that God is able to progressively reveal himself in his word, but he's also able to progressively illuminate his word. And so systematic theology has usually followed in the order of talking about soteriology, salvation. And we see that a lot of that was cleared up in the Reformation. But they did not have time to deal with ecclesiology, the church, and eschatology, because there was so much fighting on that. So it was left to other people to systematize that and popularize that and bring that about. It doesn't necessarily make something wrong because it's new or because...
Let's go back
right,
to what we were actually talking about. Though I do want to address this so-called charge of recency. I follow the hermeneutical principle of always do your theology in the context of the church. It's sort of become a little bit of a battle cry for me. And to me, that principle would mean if you are the first person to say something in the entirety of the tradition of the church, the likelihood is you are wrong, unless you have overwhelming biblical evidence to support you. That's not saying that you are wrong, it's saying that you are likely to be wrong. Now, yes, there was false teaching in the beginning, but the reason that that has not prevailed is because it was dealt with by the apostles. And the reason false teaching has not availed since then is because the ecumenical councils that had gathered were thankfully, I believe, blessed with the Spirit, and we were and have laid the foundations for Christian doctrine for thousands of years to come. Now, let's take a quick look at the Old Testament and simply ask the purpose of this collection of scriptures. Is the purpose of this collection of scriptures to tell us the future? Or is the purpose of this collection of scriptures to tell us of the glories of God? If it is the former, then I think you might have a point, and that we should be then looking for the fulfillment of said future prophecies. However, I think we would both agree when we say the purpose of the Old Testament is to reveal to us the glories and inner workings of the divine majesty. Now let's then take another look at the narrative, the coming of Jesus Christ. Now when God said he would bless the throne of David, well, I don't think there's any higher blessing for the throne of David than Jesus Christ being crowned in glory on high. Lift up, you ancient gates, so that the King of glory may come in. I don't think there's much higher than that for the throne of David. And that would be my 2 cents in this. I do think you said something else. Remind me. I think I might have missed one thing in particular.
Maybe if I start talking more, it'll come to mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree. Oh, you got it? Did you remember?
No, I said go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I agree that we should avoid a novel interpretation. The thing is, though, is that even though there's some people that protested, Charles Ryrie has shown historically that dispensationalism in an unsystematized form, various schemes existed prior to even covenant theology.
That's it.
No. That's not true.
But it is what I want to talk about.
Well,
but you
really
go ahead,
quick.
Jimmy.
Yeah, really quick. So that is the question.
Have you read Ryrie's Dispensationalism, the
Yes.
origin of... Okay.
Yep.
Then I will respect that, and I will listen. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's not actually, as I understand it, that's not the argument. The argument is not that dispensationalism preceded covenantalism. The argument is that chiliasm, which was the word used for this during, say, like Augustine's time, was around alongside other interpretations. I think you're going to have a very difficult time making any kind of argument that the apostles thought they were talking about something other than the fall of, the sack of Jerusalem in a lot of the prophecies that go on in the New Testament. As far as prophecies in the Old Testament, Romans 10 makes perfectly clear that all those prophecies are about the church. They're about the remnant of Israel, which is the church, not about some kind of imaginary reign of Jesus that's going to happen in 100 years. That's nowhere talked about in Scripture. The Davidic kingdom is a spiritual reality. That's everywhere seen in Scripture, including the prophecies in the prophets, which are applied to the remnant of Israel, and the interpretation of those by Paul in Romans. And I would be happy to look at, say, Romans 10 with you and show you how dispensationalism is a ridiculous conclusion when you look at the Bible.
Amazingly, well, not amazingly, this always happens, Jimmy said pretty much exactly what I wanted to say.
Are we raising our objections with dispensationalism?
Perhaps we should say we're
Yes.
discussing dispensationalism. But you make it sound like it's an attack, and it's not. I think dispensationalism, is a misunderstanding. But
Okay, all I'm saying is we can argue about this. My suggestion for a place to start is Romans 10 because I think it makes it perfectly clear.
right, and I used to be a Darbyist, a strong Darbyist dispensationalist, a long time ago. And it was through reading Romans 10 and various other passages that I came to realize that it just wasn't biblical.
The reason I usually side with the partial preterist doctrine is mostly because I couldn't make heads or tails of Jesus saying he would... I'm sorry?
Well, ignoring the millennium at the moment, ignoring the reign of Christ, just purely the concept, the minimal tenet of dispensationalism, right? Progressive dispensationalism, which is the church and Israel are not the same in terms of prophecy, right? Which I think is emphatically denied by Paul. That's what I want to dispute. Before we even get to the millennium, because I think the millennium is, like with the previous subject, I'll just play perpetual debunker with the millennium, because I think that an amillennial idealist interpretation of Revelation is not only the easiest to defend, but all the other views don't have enough evidence to back them up. But regardless of all that...
Thanks for reminding me the technical term for the view that I take.
Alright, hey, I want to try to shift the gears on this, but we only got like 20 minutes left, and the one thing I want to do is play a little game with y'all. Y'all up for that?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Alright, here's what we're gonna do. Y'all are familiar with memes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what we're gonna do is that each and every one of you, I got two pictures here, and y'all are each gonna figure out what the answer is to the question we're proposing based on the picture. Sound fair?
I can't hear you. I don't know what you said.
Turn up for what?
Alright. Let me repeat again so people can hear me this time. I'm gonna bring up two pictures, but one at a time, of course. And I'm gonna ask a question based on the picture. Your goal is to figure out what the answer is, and whoever has the best answer or funniest answer wins. Sound fair enough?
Sounds good.
Okay, what the funniest or best answer according to whom?
Think of it like this. Have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
Why don't we? Let's just think of it like that. Why don't we?
You do not want to play this game with me. I'm going to exempt
Jimmy,
myself.
don't make me get
Danger zone! This is on air.
Alright, so...
Pick it off air and Jimmy can play.
There you go. Yeah, I'll play this with you off air, but I will never play this with you on air.
Alright, it's not actually the game itself, but here we go.
Hey, fairy tale!
Yeah, when the nerds come
Apples
on.
to apples.
Alright, so based on this picture, let me present to everyone. Based on this picture, starting with Amy, these people just saw something. What do you think it is they just saw?
Well, I know what they just saw, so...
Yeah, well...
The first thing that came into my mind was something really vulgar that I don't think I can say.
It's not very Christian.
Oh, man.
No,
Oh, man, the hilarity of it... Yes, good Jill. The hilarity of it coming out of your mouth, Amy, makes it all the better.
Hey, we're in America. Or computer America, whatever.
Well, you guys are in America. I'm in ye olde England.
I'm in Canada.
What is this Canada you speak of?
Canada.
California, we're our own country.
All right, Amy, what was your
Let's
answer?
see. They have just been told that their friend is getting an abortion.
Are their friends getting a divorce or
An abortion.
Okay, abortion. All right, so that's a response. Baldy, what do you think they just saw?
They just saw the defeat of the Wind Mage after stealing a artifact called it was a flute. I can't remember the name, which turns into a big demon thing.
No, I mean not the actual thing itself. Like just whatever you think they saw.
Oh,
Just make something funny up, and whoever has the funniest answer.
Gemini got doppelganging Lucy and showing off her boobs.
Okay, so boobs.
Still canon.
Okay, Charles, what did you think they saw?
They're shocked that somebody's trying to subjectively interpret them.
All right, so I'm shocked to subjectively interpret them. All right, Deidre.
Clearly, this is Mark Driscoll and John Piper saying farewell, Rob Bell, farewell, as soon as he proposes universalism.
Okay, Mark Driscoll and John Piper saying farewell. All right, I don't know if Rick can talk. Easily. Oh, hold on, Rick.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. It's y'all are reaching too far. They saw a flying cat and it burnt their eyes out.
Wow, well, apparently burnt eyes look white.
Apparently the cat also burnt its own eyes out.
Yeah, it did. Okay, Easily, what did you think they saw? Okay, she does not know. And she posted that in the chat. Jimmy, what did you think they just saw? Jimmy?
Oh, they just saw Jack being performing a Charizard.
Jack?
Oh, what?
What?
I'm Jack, in case you hadn't made the connection yet.
Oh, I did not know that was your name yet. Okay, well, hello, Jack. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so
Performed what? A Charizard? As in the Pokemon?
there's only one and only, I guess. All
How
right,
do you perform a Charizard?
Maximus.
Oh, that's them observing Nephilim Free coming on to me.
I saw that, it was hideous.
Dang it! See, I thought you couldn't get any grosser than I could, but I recant. I recant.
Okay.
Although
No,
my
I was paying
answer is
attention,
based
you
on
see.
true events.
Okay, unless it's existence.
You know, Max, you still need to give me your number.
Oh, it's 902-555-7755.
I
Mine-
don't actually own a cellular phone.
You might want to
You,
read
you
that.
do realize this is live, right, Epi?
You do realize that the number is 555 indicate a fake phone number, right?
Wasn't paying attention, so.
Alright, so existence. Unless if you're the final one, you're because so far Maximus is on the winning streaks. So unless you got one, I'm all ears, buddy.
They are observing this hangout.
Well.
Oh, hangout Inception.
Harsh. That's harsh, man. That's
Wow.
harsh. So we're observing them through the hangout, and they're observing us observing the hangout. That's...
This is deep.
Okay, you know what? Just because of that, existence, you win because that's actually not only funny, but it's also very deep. You just made us think, apparently. Interesting.
That's my job.
Yeah. I guess that's why you're the philosopher, isn't it? Alright. Now we got another one. Okay.
This is a psychological test.
It's
He's
a-
analyzing us right now.
Alright, here we go.
You know what? I like you. You like Fairy Tale.
I forgot where I stopped at. They were on the
I
train.
stopped
That's
around about 160.
Okay, well, let's move on
You
before
guys
the
didn't even read
nerds.
the manga. That's not even real anime watchers right there.
Oh, shh.
I read a little bit.
We're nerds. That's all we need to know right now. But we're Christian nerds, so that makes it even better. So, they're looking at something curiously. With question. Plus, you notice the pink-haired one has blushing on his cheeks. So, starting with Amy. What?
That's curious.
I don't know. Okay, just
It looked a little
It's
disturbed.
Japanese.
they're Japanese. Yeah.
Let's see. He's seeing his brother and his girlfriend together? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what the cat's doing there. What is the cat there?
That's Happy.
Maybe, hang on. No, let's see. It's
Just
got
think-
something to do with a fish because the cat is upset.
Oh my gosh, that reference was
actually
so
really
epic.
Yeah, well, I don't think she actually
really
knew the
close.
show though, but that's actually funny. I don't know if Amy's seen Fairy Tale or not,
No, I have not.
but the cat actually is a fan of fish.
Yeah, how did you know that? That's brilliant.
Well, it's a cat, guys.
Yeah, use common sense here.
Let's see.
It's not really a cat, he's an egg-seed, but spoilers.
He looks like a cat.
Walks like a cat talk. But anyway, so
I'm a
Does
cat.
not talk like a
I'm a
cat.
cat. I don't know what cats look like.
what was that your answer, Amy?
Yeah, they just saw a fish walking on dry land. How's that? And my young Earth creationism comes out a little bit.
I don't know. Maybe that's it.
You're away, you see?
Baldy, what do you think they're looking at?
They are looking at the non-existence of dispensationalism in the Church Fathers.
We are never going to get off of this topic, are we?
Once I have something, I never forget.
Well, that's a Christian. We've got to be determined on our topic. Charles, what do you think they're looking at? Why do they have that face? Why do they have that expression?
I think they're looking at the cartoonists.
That's
They're
actually
like-
quite good.
They're like, why did you draw us like this? You can you can notice the guy, he has some thoughts going. That's why he has that blush. He's like, why didn't you draw this chick's boobs any bigger, apparently? I don't know, you might have perverted people. I mean, look at this guy.
Why is the cat blocking one of them?
Yeah, I mean,
Why are you guys... I thought we were Christians. Why are you guys so interested in her right tit?
I'm just saying, that's probably what they're thinking. It's called psychology. Dang, bro.
Maybe because it's smaller than the left one?
Listen,
you know what?
if you've watched the series, you know that Lucy is a big girl. She has massive tracts of land.
Okay, Deidre, your turn, because I think the guys are starting to show off the adultery side right here.
I think these guys are from the UK, and they're clearly upset at the Americans butchering the English language and saying things like revelations.
You know, I can get behind that. My vote goes to you, Deirdre, for Prime Minister.
Okay, Deidre, so far you have your answer is one of my favorites right now. Rick, what's your answer? What do you think they're looking at? What's making them have that facial expression? Rick Woo. Ricky Roo. Ricky Roo. Okay, he's not answering. So, Jimmy, why are they looking like that? Why do they have that facial expression?
See, I should have saved my Charizard one for this one because Natsu is blushing.
Oh, wait, I get it.
Let's see.
Inside anime joke, in case y'all didn't catch on to that.
That was a cross-anime joke.
Yeah. Oh, Rick just left.
What's the name of the the girl who is always she serves the drinks at the counter of the
Mary
game.
Jane.
Mary Jane.
Yeah, Mary Jane. It's they're seeing Gray give Mary Jane a Cleveland steamroller.
I don't know what one of those is, but I don't think I want to know.
What's a Cleveland? Yeah, what the
I'm
heck?
quite sure Mary Jane would kick his ass. Spoilers.
Not if she's drunk.
Oh.
She doesn't. She doesn't get drunk. Mira Jane is lethal. She is.
You don't.
If you
wait, have you read the manga?
I have, but no spoilers.
You know what?
People who might be watching.
You know what? Don't get on to us just because we haven't read the manga or manga. Okay, so. Alright, so. Existence. You're the final one. Yep.
It is incredible, Amy.
Yeah, Amy, you need to watch it because it's funny.
It's cute. It's actiony.
Yeah. It has somewhat of the presence of a.
And it's also got the best flipping music I've ever heard in any anime.
That's true. But Existence, what do you think they're looking at? Why do they have those faces?
I had a good answer, but I lost it.
Probably what they're looking at. They just
I
found it.
apologize.
Do you want to just give up this round, or do you want to try to think about it?
I'll give up this round.
Okay, so let's try to recap, because I think there was actually some several good ones. Jimmy, nah, I'm sorry, I can't really get behind yours, but it was worth a try, man. Deidre, yours is funny, but I already forgot it. All I know is I laughed when I heard it.
I think I forgot it too. Oh, the UK being upset.
Oh.
At the
All I know is that
or
you
use of the
insulted
English
Americans.
language.
You insulted Americans, and that was good enough for me.
Yeah.
That's where I switched off.
Baldy, what was your answer?
My answer was replaced with support for Deidre.
With what?
I can't remember. In my defense, it's 5 a.m.
Why the heck are you on this at 5 a.m.?
Because Fairy Tail popped up.
Wow. Oh, okay. Charles said they're looking at okay, so I don't know about Baldy, so there's Charles, whose answer is equal right now to Deidre's, because this is another Inception deep thought. They're looking at the animators with some serious questions. In fact, look at the cat, he's upset. And I don't know what Amy said. What did she say?
They see a walking fish, I think.
I said that they see a walking fish, and the guy is a young Earth creationist, and he's embarrassed because the fish is walking, and the girl is an evolutionist, and she sees the walking fish, but she didn't actually believe that it was possible because, nobody's ever seen evolution before. And the cat's just upset because it's a walking fish.
Drama.
Looks like Ken Ham's gonna be upset. You know what?
The cat should eat the walking fish, and then no one needs to know about it.
What should happen is that I should take a picture of Ken Ham's face and place it in front of Natsu's face right here, and just that would be the caption there.
I think that would be a perfectly good Fairy Tail screenshot ruined.
Yes, it would.
I agree.
Anyways.
I haven't even seen Fairy Tail.
I'm Rick. Can you talk? Rick,
no.
You can't. Well, don't speak for him if you can try to do something.
Well, the fact that he's not responded to you the past few times you've asked him this, I'm going to assume it's still no.
Well, he's answered once.
Once? Out of how many times?
Oh, anyway. Okay, so Amy, Charles, and Deidre. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and of course me. The 5 people are going to be the determination of who's the winner. So,
he's gone again.
Baldy, Izalu, Jimmy, XP, and me are going to be the judges. So, in the side chat, type who you think the winner is.
Guys, I have cookies.
Oh, have you finally? Oh wait, never mind.
I'm just gonna type in Deidre, but whoever goes to, it's a fair enough. Whoever.
You were gonna make a kitchen joke, weren't you?
I was gonna make a Calvinist joke, but yeah, that too.
All right, so me and Baldy have said Deidre. So who's gonna give their vote to Charles or Amy, or maybe you just want to feed Deidre more of these votes? Izalu, who do you think won? Wait, did she go BRB on this?
Did you talk to me?
I was talking about Izalu.
Oh, are you there? Uh-oh.
Okay, well, we lost a voter. What about Jimmy? Jimmy, are you there? Okay,
Oh,
so
he's in his bed.
Easy back, yeah, just
say Deidre and we can be done.
Cage. Don't forget Cage.
yeah, Izalu, who do you think won the contest here? Okay, oh, you know what? I already see where this is going, and Deidre. Hang on, because we're done with the picture thing. I just want to pull this out and present to everyone that Deidre has evolved into a Jimmy.
Jimmy's trying to turn me into a Calvinist, see, so, like, I grew a mustache.
Oh,
but you don't have a hat or a beard, so you can't be a Calvinist.
Brings a tear to my eye to see how you've come to see things my way.
Okay, so I think we've already established that Deidre won that round, so I think this was pretty funny.
Okay, just kidding.
Wait a minute, hold on.
That right there was also one of the times violence would be accepted.
Everyone stop. Amy, did you just call Spirited Way an anime?
Don't do that.
No, what? Yes.
Oh my.
Run.
To be fair, it is an anime. No, dude, it is an anime.
Did you just... You did not. You did not just call Studio Ghibli anime.
Jimmy,
Well,
keep
honestly,
calm.
it's higher quality than most anime crap, but you know.
So then you not only had the decency to call it anime, but then you had the gall.
Jimmy, keep calm and go bunkai.
It's okay. I deserve a tongue lashing. Whatever.
No, I mean, it's a shame.
What? Wait, what?
It's funny because she's a cat.
Why is the fact that I'm a cat funny?
Wow,
because they're
Jack.
always washing things with their tongue.
Wow, Jack.
Alright, you know what? Let's just end the show right here before we start killing each other. Which I don't see how.
What do you mean before we start? I've
Jack,
already decided.
Don't think I didn't see that.
See what? What did I do?
No. I'm gonna do this.
Even my stash is protesting. Oh, that's fantastic.
Wow.
Jimmy, that's out of love, though.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I was looking for my stamp of approval for that one.
Okay, so we've had our fun. For some of you that watched this live, you might think that we actually decided to get drunk before we went on the air here.
You mean I wasn't supposed to do that?
No, I mean, you Christians can have a couple drinks every now and then. I mean, it's all in good fun. But
usually on a Sunday morning.
Yeah, especially on a Sunday morning. But yeah, so this was a good hangout. Baldy, since you're the newest one here, we like to we like to end our sessions in prayer. Would you like to lead us in prayer?
Can do.
All right, thank you, bro.
Lord God, I thank you for the fellowship we have shared here tonight, and I also pray for the safety not only of Rafe who couldn't make it, but of those who have stuck with this unbearable chatter for as long as they have. I want to thank you especially for the laughs shared in this very light-hearted, non-regimented discussion. And I hope that for the next day, especially as mine will be beginning in a few hours, you keep us all safe, sound, happy, fed, and holy. In the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right. So that was all for theological discussion. But until then, wait a second. Why is my face not shown? Oh, well, there it is. That's the beautiful looking face. Lady.
I was going to say Google was sparing us, and then that happened.
Yeah, but I'm just gonna go back to it. Like this. And we're gonna end it with Jimmy going all crazy. Somebody call the exorcist. Jimmy's going crazy.